Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Yerushalmi Demai Pedig Vav Halacha Beis. We are learning today Daf Nun Hey. We left off on Daf Nun Hey Amud Aleph at the end of the third line from the top of the Amid by Yisrael Shekibel Sodom Mikayim. Let's quickly review. We began in the Mishnah. The Mishnah taught us the Shita of Rabbi Eliezer that holds. Now, guys, you have to help up here. That if you have a kohen who's the Mekabel, who's the sharecropper, and the owner is a Yisrael, of course the kohen gets to keep the trumais umaisnes that he separated from his chaylik. However, the Tanakama holds that the owner receives whatever percent they agreed upon for him to receive, and the owner gets to choose to whichever kohen he would like to give it. Rabbi Eliezer holds that the kohen who's a mekabel will also receive or keep the trumas umaisnes from the share of the balabas. The words Rabbi Eliezer says in the Mishnah is Sha'al Manas Kain Bo, even though they never explicitly made that agreement, but that was their understanding. The Gemara wanted to know, how can the owner bequeath or give, transfer, make a deal on something Shaloi Bala Olam? So that was that as if the balabas would have told the kohen, I'm giving it to you, and for you to acquire it, make a kinyan in the ground itself. That would have been effective, even though they never made such words, even though they never even Bechlal spoke about whether the kohen, the Makabal, is going to be the recipient. That was the agreement. So guys, that's the case of the Mishnah. The owner, the balabas, the landowner is a Yisrael, the Makabal is a kohen. Rabbi Eliezer holds that the owner is chayiv to leave the trumas umaisnes from his share for the mekabel. Now, on that we learned at the end of last year on Daf Nun Dalid Amid Beis, we had a brayso that what happens if they're both kohanim? The worker, the mekabel, is a kohen, the owner is a kohen. So then even Rabbi Eliezer, that was the top of Daf Nun Hey, even Rabbi Eliezer will agree that choilikin lemaisres. That is where we're up to. Today, we're going to begin in the opposite case, meaning we're going to learn a brayso where the guys focus. The Mekabel is the Yisrael. The owner is a kohen. And what's the issue over here? The issue over here is that when the Yisrael is the landowner and the kohen is a Mekabel, can the kohen give his trumas umaisres to a Yisrael? Not that the Yisrael, God forbid, is going to eat it, but the Yisrael, let's say the Yisrael has a relative who's a kohen. He would rather give his relative trumas umaisres. Can the Yisrael, can the Makabel, the kohen, could he even give? And if he could, then maybe that was the unspoken agreement, give to the Yisrael, the landowner, his trumais umaisres. And why would the kohen agree to do it? Because he's getting a deal, because he needs a job, because the owner, the balabas, is leasing him the field. So sometimes you give to get, and the rule is that a kohen is not allowed to pay his debt with trumas umaisres. So this could resemble him pay the payment of a debt. That is what one might have thought. We're going to begin with a brayso that will tell us that this resemblance is something that we don't create. We don't apply the prohibition of a kohen paying his debts with his trumais or maisres, trumas or maisres, and therefore we're going to begin learning a lot about the opposite scenarios. Again, where the owner is going to be, the landowner is going to be a Yisrael, and the Makabel is going to be a kohen. Now, another brayso that we're going to learn today, and that
once the landowner being a Yisrael and the Makabel the kohen, that's the original case.
No. The case of the Mishnah is the opposite. Case of the Mishnah is where the Makabel is a kohen, and the land. And the land.
The landowner was a Yisrael. That was the case of the Mishnah, right?
Correct.
So you say now we're doing the opposite.
Doing the opposite, that the landowner is a kohen. No. The Makabel is a Yisrael. Correct. But I want to give another din. So that's going to be number one. First of all, we're going to learn the opposite case. But I want to just introduce a couple of rules. The rules will be that a kohen cannot use his truma to pay a debt. And if you're going to have, I'm going back to a case where the makabel is a kohen. Back to the case of the Mishnah, Danny. That's the second thing that I said in the introduction. That will be another nuance we're going to learn today. That whenever you have a kohen who is going to be making a deal, I'm going to give you the Yisrael, my truma. It's not for you to eat, for you to give it to the kohen of your choice. A kohen can do it, but he cannot do it in exchange of something, because he cannot pay his debt with something. So whenever there is a relationship between a balabas and others, sometimes we're going to suspect that the reason why either the owner hired the worker, or the other way, the worker agreed to work for the balabas, because they're going to be getting trumas or maasros, and that will touch upon this issue, whether a person can use their trumas to do something with it, which could appear like they're paying a debt with it. We're gonna have ultimately today a machloikes between Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, and Rabbi Yochanan, two Amoraim from the first generation of Amoraim, whether a person is allowed to transfer the toivas hana'ah, the privilege of choosing to which kohen he's going to give the tithes for payment. Let's say I'm a kohen, I'm a Yisrael. I have the right to choose to whom to give my trumas or maasros to. I don't own it, but I have the right to choose whom to give it to. We call that privilege toivas hana'ah. Can someone pay me for me to choose to give it to a particular kohen? Now, the kohen himself may never make such a payment. A kohen can never make payment to get trumas or maasros, and that prohibition is called kohen hamisayeya bebeis hagranos. That means that even if the kohen is not paying money, but if the kohen is going to be doing a service, a classical case will be that a person separates the trumas in the threshing floor, and you need workers, you need help. So can a kohen go to threshing floors, offer free help with the understanding, I'm going to help you here, you're going to give me the trumas? That's something that's not allowed. A kohen cannot pay to get the trumas or maasros. That's for sure not. The question is, whether a person is allowed to sell his choice to someone who's not a kohen, who will not be the recipient for payment. And as we'll see, that's a machloikes. Rabbi Yossi but Rabbi Chanina says there's nothing wrong with it, and Rabbi Yochanan will hold that it's prohibited for a person to transfer his toivas hana'ah for payment. As we will see, all of this will be connected to the entire daf. So I like what Danny just said. We're going to have many cases today. The case in the Mishnah is that the landowner is a Yisrael, the makabel is a kohen. Kohen for sure gets to keep his own trumas or maasros. Rabbi Eliezer holds that he also automatically gets to keep the trumas or maasros from the landowner, because they made such an agreement, even though they never verbalized that agreement. And now we're going to flip it. Look inside again. Daf Nun Hey, 3 lines from the top. If you have now a Yisrael, Shekibel Sadam Kohen, the worker, the sharecropper is a Yisrael. The owner, the landowner, is a kohen. This is the opposite of the case in the Mishnah. So let's begin. Omar Loi means if, guys, we're speaking about who said to whom, that the Yisrael, who's the worker, who's the sharecropper, tells the owner, Almanas sheyu hamaisroi shali. I don't have to give you my trumais. The sharecropper says, you owner, you keep yours. I'm going to give it to whomever I want. So if he told him that, Almanas sheyu hamaisroi shali, or listen to this, if they made an agreement, the owner, the kohen told the worker, I'm going to hire you. You're going to be my sharecropper, but you're giving me your trumas, the trumas to me, or shali v'shalcha. We'll read in a moment the case of shali v'shalcha. In all of these cases, it's muter. Now, let me explain over here the Chiddush. In the reverse case, guys, when the Yisrael is the landowner and the Kohen is the Mekabel, the case of the Mishnah, something that we never spoke about, the Kohen is not allowed to give his portion of Trumos to the Yisrael. Cannot do that. Again, he's giving it to the Yisrael, not for the Yisrael to eat, but for the Yisrael to have more Truma to give it to other Kahanim, to the Kahanim of his choice. Why is that not allowed? Because the Kohen is going to be rewarding. The Kohen is a Mekabel. He's going to give it to the owner. He's using his Truma to get the contract. That's something that's forbidden. The Chiddush of our Braisa, guys, is that in the reverse case, which is the case of the Braisa, there's no problem. Okay. Now, what happens in the case of the Mishnah? What's the case of the Mishnah? That you have a Kohen, the Kohen is the Mekabel. Shekibel Sada from the landowner who's a Yisrael. In this case, Omar Loi, here again, the Omar Loi goes, the sharecropper, right? The case of the Mishnah now. The sharecropper, the Kohen, if he tells the landowner, who is the Yisrael, Al Manashi Yoamaister Shali, I want to get all of the maisres. If he says that explicitly, then mutter, that's permitted. And as we learned, guys, in the previous year, the only reason why the Chachamim argue with the Tanakama is because nothing was stipulated, right? But if they made such a stipulation, we already worked out Nasik or Omer, make a king, and we worked out how that even works. If befedish they made such a stipulation, that means the Kohen, the sharecropper, tells the owner, the balabas, you're going to give me your share of Trumas Maisres, that's allowed. However, Aber, if he, meaning the sharecropper, guys, the sharecropper here is a Kohen, tells the owner, the balabas, the Yisrael, Shalcham, that's already Yasur. So what does that mean? We'll see in a moment. And we'll see why. We spoke it out in the intro. But Shali v'Shalcha, we're going to read the words in the Gemara, and we're going to learn the Pnei Moshe. We're going to see the way he learns Pshat over here. Shali v'Shalcha. So then take out the word Asur. Then it depends. If they divided the shares between the owner and the sharecropper as it's done in that locality, whether it's half and half, whether the sharecropper keeps a third, whether the sharecropper keeps a fourth, whatever the division is, then that's also going to be mut. But the imlav. But if, guys, the case is the Kohen is a Mekabel. If the Kohen Simcha agreed to receive a lesser share, if the Kohen, the sharecropper, agreed to receive a lesser share, and why did he do that? Because the owner, the Yisrael, agreed to give him his Trumas Maisres. That's something that's awesome. Because it appears that the landowner, it appears that the Kohen bought the Trumas from the landowner by giving the landowner more.
Isn't this not like Rabbi Eliezer in our Mishnah?
No, this is according to everyone.
But didn't Rabbi Eliezer say that the sharecropper can get not only his, but he could even get the Kohen's portion?
As long, Danny, as they are getting the normal Kederach HaMekablim. As long as it doesn't have the appearance that he paid for it.
What if he wants to? What if he wants to pay for it?
It's not allowed.
It's
not the whole point.
That's the whole point.
But I didn't understand.
One word, Danny. A Kohen cannot pay for it. I'm going to make that clear. That's the problem. No, it's here in the last case in the Braisa, which is the case of the Mishnah, where the Makabel is the Kohen. So the Kohen wants to get from the owner. And he's agreeing to get a smaller portion. Why is he agreeing to get a smaller portion? It looks like they're making an exchange. Let's read inside the Pnei Moshe. let's begin. I'm going to begin. We have the second case of the Baraisa begins around 18 lines from the top. It's still in the narrow lines of the Pnei Moshe. Kohen shekibel sadami Yisrael. Now it's in the first case in the Baraisa, which is the opposite case of a Mishnah, right? Where the Yisrael is the Mekabel and the owner is the Kohen. The Mishnah said any agreement they make is okay. But in the reverse, which is the case of the Mishnah, where the sharecropper is a Kohen and the landowner is a Yisrael, here the Baraisa makes a chiluk. L'zeh yesh chiluk, says the Pnei Moshe. In HaKohen HaMekabel Amalei Amanas Sha'amaisra Shali, if he explicitly says that, guys, we already said that. Not even Rabbi Eliezer. Everyone would agree. Mutter. Ve'ein kan isra v'tonoi kaim. And Kidamrin and Liel, we're going into the Pnei Moshe, the first line under the Gemara. Tahakol moedim. Right? She'im hoya hatnaim nefurish b'neim. Shia ma'isel HaKohen HaMekabel Levi hatnai kaim. Not a problem. Right? The issue with the Mishnah was oifana, was a wheel on top of a wheel. Nothing was spoken about. Okay. But if he says on the condition that they will be yours, Sholcha Asur means, guys, what's that case? She'im Amar HaKohen HaMekabel, to the owner who's a Yisrael, Almanas Shahamaisen Yeh Sholcha, that I am agreeing. This is what the sharecropper, the Kohen, is saying. I'm going to give you mine. Almanas Shahamaisen Yeh Sholcha, meaning I will allow you, the landowner, to take from my trumos, says the Kohen HaMekabel, and give it to whoever you want. Ze asur. Why is that asur? Because it looks like I'm a Kohen HaMesayeh bebeis hagronos, meaning the moichel hu chelkei min hamaiser. Why do you think the Kohen is agreeing to do that? Why would the Kohen agree to do that? He's agreeing to do it because he wants the job. He wants to get the field. If a Kohen is paying with his trumos to get something in return, that's also us. I know that Kohen is in the opposite, where the Kohen is going to be getting trumos in exchange of his works. But here it's the opposite. Here the Kohen is giving up his truma in exchange of getting a job, of getting a lease contract, of getting work. That's also us.
So a Kohen cannot profit from his own truma. He cannot.
A Kohen cannot do something that it appears correct.
That is profiting from his.
That's truma. Right. It's correct. All God gave him with the truma, Kevan, is the truma.
God.
Now, 1 second. For him to go ahead, for a Kohen to go ahead, Kevan, and to sell his truma is permitted. I want to make that clear. Once a Kohen received his truma, he can sell it. And by the way, even a Yisrael might buy it. Right. A Yisrael might buy it not for Yisrael to eat, for Yisrael to give it to his grandson who's a Kohen, for Yisrael to have more gifts to give. But he's making an exchange.
Got it.
Now, next case. Keep your finger still on the Pnei Moshe. We're in the second widest line. Shali v'sholcha aser. What does that mean? Shali v'sholcha. Now he has the girsa aser. I know that in the Gemara we took out the word aser. Kedem efarish v'aser means like this. It's not always aser. She'im kibla mimenu kedarach hamekablim. It's all like the case of the Mishnah, guys. The Kohen is a sharecropper. The balabas is a Yisrael. If their agreement was, as every sharecropper behaves in this locality, shekol hamekablim nehagen kach, and they befeda said, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. But if not, if the vimla aser, why would it be aser? Why would it be aser if he's not getting to that hamekablim? Uparachalo avamai aser v'lama lematnai ki beloikach hamaisris ena maisris sholahem lachalik b'shava kedetram b'masnisin that contain shecholkim uchol kalkochel l'truma u'maisim. In other words, what would be the problem of shali v'sholcha? they're both mine and both yours. And really, to add to the problem, not like Rabbi Eliezer, that's always the way it is. So the Gemara will explain, this last, we're going to read it in the Pnei Moshe, then we'll read it inside the Gemara. This last case in the Braisa, where he says, Shali v'sholcha, that if they're not getting, if the sharecropper, the coin, agreed to get a lesser share to begin with, then shali v'sholcha is asur. What's that case? Bal hasada shali, meaning which is what the Chachamim say in the Mishnah. V'sholcha, and your portion, which normally you would keep, shali v'sholcha will be both yours and mine, which means I want to get part of it. He wants to get any part of it. Here is where the Braisa makes the following differentiation: that if he's getting, the sharecropper is getting the norm of the share kolomet. If that's the way it always works, and the owner, the Yisrael, the landowner, but if that's not the norm, why is he agreeing to give him something more that normally he would not have to give? Because he's getting the job. So he looks like a kohen. I'm sorry. Every place has a norm. So both, when we learn to think about it, there's a norm of how much percent do you get. There's a norm of not the Rabbi Eliezer. Everyone gets to keep their trumos. If the norm is that the sharecropper, who's a kohen, cannot keep all of the trumas for himself, but from his share he has to give a certain percentage of. If that's the norm, that's also okay. Because as long as they're following the norm, the moment the owner is getting anything more than the norm, that's what the Braisa is really saying. The moment the balabas is getting something more than the norm, basically the kohen is giving him truma for it. So there's an exchange going on. He's getting a job and he's getting more truma. He's getting more value. Can't do that. You can't exchange work for truma. Guys, don't forget that kohen hamaseh b'beis hagranos is normally in the opposite direction. That the kohen is giving work for free, and the kohen is going to be getting the trumas. Same idea, but if you are exchanging work or something for the truma, that's a problem. Now let's read it inside. And in other words, we just read the Pnei Moshe side. So any time that the Yisrael, the owner, is going to be getting anything in addition, the Braisa says it's asur. One of the cases was shali v'sholcha. So fragt the Gemara, b'loikach eina ma'aseh shaloi. In other words, what's the issue over here? Why would we have a problem with the landowner keeping his trumas, with the sharecropper keeping his trumas? That's shita of the Chachamim in the Mishnah. Why would that ever be a problem? So the Gemara says, Elohacheni, we already read this in the Pnei Moshe. Shali v'sholcha. The issue will be the final clause in the Braisa, where the landowner tells the kohen, the worker, I'm going to keep mine. And yours, I also want a part of yours. All of the trumas of mine, I'm the landowner, I'm the Yisrael. This is not Rabbi Eliezer. That's the Chachamim I get to keep. Normally, at least, you, the worker, the kohen, you get to keep yours. The balabas is adding, no? That sholcha, that from your trumas, some of it will come to me. Shali v'sholcha. Is it allowed? Well, im kilu v'menu k'derech ha'mekablim, then mutin. The way the Pnei Moshe learned, not the way he's writing, the way the Pnei Moshe learned was that if that is the minik hamakim, that all sharecroppers, even though they are kohanim, they also have to give some. If that's the way the norm is, that's fine, mutter. But vimlav, in other words, if this kohen is doing something beyond the norm, he's giving the owner. The owner is going to end up getting more truma. The owner is a Yisrael, but the Yisrael will get the pikum to give it to. Then asur. because it's kikoyin hamisayeh bebeis hagramis. It's great. Okay. Next case, next brisa. We did not have this case yet. Now we're talking about two Yisraelim. Yisrael, Shekibel, the Yisrael is the worker, and who is the owner? Who's the landowner? Vaitei Yisrael. Again, I know that Yisraelim don't eat trumos. So what? They can have relatives that are kohanim. They can have friends that are kohanim. Everyone would like to have more truma to give. So here, what happened is that they made an agreement, but the landowner told the worker, "Listen, guys, you're going to take my field. You're going to have to give your Yisrael, the sharecropper." The owner is telling him whom to give it to. You get it? Pasha. That's also. That's also because he's giving him a job, he's paying him for him to give the truma isu maisres to a particular kohen. That's not allowed. But you know what is allowed? But if he tells them, I am giving you a job, you're becoming my sharecropper, you're Yisrael, you're going to have to give to me all of your truma isu maisres, and I will decide whom to give it to. It's very different. He didn't tell him which one to give it to. If he tells him, she'etleim ani, you have to give it to me, and the etnem lozen, I will give it, even if he already tells him who he's going to give it to, that's going to be mutter, and the Gemara is going to explain the logic. Why is it asur and why is it mutter? Like the Gemara is asking, right?
You're learning this, that the landowner is stipulating it. But in the notes here, it seems that it's the other way, that the sharecropper is stipulating it. I don't know if it makes a difference, but
okay. First of all, I stand corrected, and it might make a difference or might not. But let me just very good. So the case is that the sharecropper is taking the job on the condition that the landowner will either you have to give it to a specific person, that will be asur. You give it to me, and even if he tells him whom he'll give it to, that's going to be mutter. And the Gemara wants to know, how is the latter case different than the first case? In other words, can you make such a stipulation? Can you not make such a stipulation? Maishna Reisha or Maishna Seifa. So the Gemara answers, and we're going to have two different answers. Ravacha and Rabbi Yosi. Answer number one, Amar Ravacha, that the only way to make such a reconciliation is if you have to add the words im tirtze, if you'll be willing. If the landowner is going to be obliged to give us trumas u'maisros to a specific kohen, why did he agree to do that? Why would he agree to do that? It doesn't say you have to add the words. It's a big doichet. And the Gemara is going to explain to you why he had to. There might have been another answer, David. And the fact that he didn't use the other answer will be very significant. It's the biggest doichet when you have to add words. In a Braisa, it's done. In a Mishnah, it's done much less. But even in a Mishnah, sometimes we add. But it's such an important two words. In other words, it's only mutter when he says them tirtze. So let me say like this: if they make a deal,
the second case where he doesn't specify the claim.
Hold your thought. Let's go in the direction that we're learning the Gemara over here. If the landowner is going to be chayiv to give the trumas or maisros to a specific kohen, why would he agree to do that? Why do you think he would agree to do it? Because he wants to get work. The sharecropper is making such a stipulation. He wants for the guy to go work. So he's using his trumos, which are not his, but he has the right to whom to give it to. He's monetizing it.
It's the sharecropper.
No, the owner. In this direction, because the sharecropper told the owner, "You want me to work in your field? Fine. You have to separate. I'm a Yisrael. You're a Yisrael. None of us are getting it. You have to give it, not if you want. You have
to." So There's an Isser amongst Yisraelim to trade in the Teves Hana of Truma.
That's exactly what we'll learn about. And Rav Acha obviously holds that it's Asur. So why would it be mutter? Why would it be mutter? It's not about give it to me, give it to him, because he added the words im tirza. Big doiche. He doesn't force him to do it. He makes
that chooses to give
the way I made a mistake. The way we're learning over here, I think it can go in the other direction as well.
No stipulations. Who normally gives it?
Whoever you want to give it to.
No, the sharecropper or the.
So we're going to go with our mission. Everyone gives from their share. So let's say you're the owner, David. You're the owner. I'm the sharecropper. Let's say the norm was half and half.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 10 pounds. I end up with 5. You end up with 5.
So we both have to.
We both have to give him. We both have the right to choose whom to give it to. That's vadai. Even according to Rabbi Eliezer, Yisrael, everyone gets. Here the case is that I am. I'm the worker. I tell you, you want me to work in the field? That's fine. So I guess if I tell you have to, I'm not allowed to do what? Awesome. Why awesome? Because that's the word. Because why did you give up that right? Why would you give up that right? Because you must be in a position where you are having a hard time finding a worker. So you're accepting my agreement to work in exchange, almost like you're bribing me. How are you getting me to work? You by making use of the trumas. That's something that's not allowed. You're not allowed to give it. I'm not allowed to receive. But if im tirza, as long as it's not mechuyev, it's a big doichik. Look.
So why not add im tirza to every case?
No. The Braisa says mutter. The Braisa says asur. Why mutter? Why asur? It has to be. The only way out is that if it's a binding agreement or if it's a suggested donation.
Right, so say that
Chabad
every
does
time.
not charge receipts. They make a suggested donation for hayat. That's called the im tirza. Okay, and then anyways, you pay a fortune. Let's go. Look inside the Pnei Moshe. We're going to learn Pnei Moshe. Amar Avacha, im tirza b'neim. Claim it. Hainu di yesh chiluk b'neim, da haseifa. Maida, she'amar lo shenech like b'neinu. Im tirza litn l'pleini hakoyin ha'levi muter. Im tirza means, listen guys, im tirza, it has some power. Because im tirza means, suggested many people, actually for the seats, people don't pay that much money because they pay fortunes for the aliyahs. But if they wouldn't pay for the aliyahs, people would follow through with the suggested donation. You know, but it's not binding. Guys, the last line in the top of the Gemara in Pnei Moshe. Aval bereisha shoya tanai al menas came. Shia ma'isa leploni kiven shezeh koyin have. The guy who's getting it is a koyin. Havel like a koyin hamisayeh. She'enoi mekabel chelka mimaiser kedei shezeh yikal amenu asod avarisus. Very good. There is an exchange going on over here. And what is being used for the exchange? The truma. We're using truma to seal a deal. Awesome. No, that means the coin who's getting it, since it's about truma. That's what he means. Why? Since the recipient is a coin, so...
The recipient of the truma is a coin.
Yeah. In other words, truma...
He's not the one working.
It doesn't matter. That's the chiddush. In other words, we are extending koyin amisayeh. That's important. Koyin amisayeh is also. That's what I said in the intro. The question is, a coin. Let's say clip. Can a coin pay to get his truma? No, never. Can a Yisrael pay another Yisrael to give his truma to a coin? That's the question. And Rabbi Acha holds he cannot. Which is why it's also. So why would it ever be mutter in the Braisa? Because he told him im tirza. Ayah doesn't say it. It must be that's the case. Amar Rabbi Yosi. No, don't add words in the Braisa. I'll tell you the difference. The Teiman mutar, which is in the case of the Seifa. Don't add the words im tirza. But that's where that everyone is getting the usual percentage. The landowner is not getting anything. He did not get anything tangible of it in order for him to agree to give away his trumas umaisis. He's not getting anything extra. But in the case which is the reish of the brayso, where it's asur, is b'shaloi kibla b'derech kederech hamekabel, which means that the mekabel reduced the share. The mekabel is getting less. That's already awesome. And so I am agreeing to get less because you're giving it to someone else. That's where it's that's mamash is. Okay. So says the Gemara, like the Rabbi Yossi's, and by the way, that's what we learned in the previous sugya. That was the whole previous thing. That once you agree to get a lesser portion, that's already more problematic. Now, there's agreeing to work, but I'm working the way everyone else works. Our mamash, the owner is getting more. He's getting more because he's giving up the truma. That is already awesome. The problem is that Rabbi Yossi's answer is so good, meaning the way people learn the Bible. Why are you adding words in tirza? Why wouldn't Rabacha say like Rabbi Yossi? Because he does not agree with it. So that oy bazoi, now the Gemara is saying Asya the Rabbi Yossi ke Rabbi Yochanan, and the Rabbi Acha ke Rabbi Yossi be Rabbi Chanina. What are we talking about? Rabbi Yossi be Rabbi Chanina Amar Adam Noisin Meisles Betoives Hana. The Toives Hana is the benefit of the gratitude, which every Yisrael has. He gets to determine whom to give it to. He holds that that you can give it in exchange of payment. Look inside the Marah folder now, 8 lines from the top. Adam loisen meisters b'teves hanoshim muter lemoichron lechatchila liyisrael. The Yisrael, guys, never to a coin. B'teves hanoah sheyesh lebehem litnei lechol coin sheyitz. Any Yisrael is allowed to receive money from whom? From a Yisrael, for that other Yisrael to tell him whom to give the truma to. You know, the most common case that we have in the Babli is that you have a Yisrael grandfather whose daughter married a Kohen. He has a grandchild, a Kohen. So a Zayda wants for his anical to have something in addition. The Kohen is not paying. So Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina holds that a Yisrael is allowed to pay to another Yisrael whom to give the truma to. Mutar lechatchila. V'chi noisen halikeach eiz davar ba'atoyves hano zois shetehei atoyves hano shebehem shaloi mutar lemacher. And therefore, lefikach tzorich letaritz habraisa kiravachon, which is the kiv and the might be Yisrael. Ein boze ein ze elamishum mechiras toyves hano b'haloi mutar lechatchila. So therefore, the only solution in the Braisa is to say like Ravacha, which is that I'm allowed to sell the Toivas Hana, but I cannot use the Truma for you to agree to work. That's why it goes in that direction. What's the case of the Braisa? Again, that the Yisrael, that the Mekabel is demanding whom the Truma should go to. The Braisa said Asr. Why would it be Asr? Because he's saying, I won't even go to work if you won't do that. That agreement is not allowed. So why would it be muter? Im tirza muter. So it's if the issue is paying for someone's privilege to give it to another kohen, if that's muter, then what is the issue over here? The issue here is that if I am a Yisrael and I'm telling you I'm not going to go work b'chlal unless you give it to someone else, so you're paying me, that is already awesome. That's already awesome. You hear the difference, Danny? There's a big difference. I am paying a Yisrael to give it to a certain kohen. He's selling the rights. Rabbi Yochanan Omar, that ain't Adam Noisen Masroisa B'Tovesano. The whole thing is not allowed to begin with. So it's not that he's agreeing to go to work for him. he gets to say it even better. He's saying that you can't accept money. You cannot accept money for the tithes, and therefore, if the makabel is reducing his share, that's the case. That's going to be yasser. Because why is he reducing his share? Because he is getting the trumos to determine who to give it to. That's already going to be yasser. If he's not reducing his share, then it's mutter. You're looking at me. Okay.
All right, can a Kohen use the teruma to propose marriage?
I think that's a machloikis in the Mishnah between Avmeir and everyone else. No, Danny, how you remember that? You don't remember. By Kachim, for sure, that's the question. Whether Kachim is Shulchan Gavoya, whether it's Shulchan
Yeah, there's a question of Meiser Sheni, all these things.
Trying to remember by Truma. Okay. Now the Gemara. Go ahead, then.
So I'm not really clearly understanding the distinction now that we're making between Rav Acha and Rav Yaisi. We're saying that according to Rav Yaisi, he's saying that if we split it according to normal, I can stipulate that I want it to go to a kohen. As long as, let's say, the standard split is 70-30, we're still doing 70-30, but I want it to go, then that's fine. If the normal thing is 70-30 and I'm saying, no, you know what, I'm going to do 80-20, but in that case, I want the trumos to go to this kohen, that's usher, right?
Correct.
Wouldn't Rav Acha say that that's usher also? Or he's saying that if he said in Tirza, in that 80-20 case, that would be mutter?
No. Rav Acha would not say that it's mutter. Rav Acha for sure would say that it's usher.
So what's the difference between Acha and Yasser? It's still working.
You know what, guys? We're going to learn this stuff again.
We need a
That's the
chart.
Mila. We're going to learn this again. We are here together. Let's finish learning, and we're going to learn tomorrow again. Daf Nun Hey, and that's the way it is. My time is Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. Today's Labor Day, so we're going to how to better. Now again, okay. What we have over here now is a machlokes between Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yochanan, whether a person is allowed to give his toivas, his maises for toivas hana. It says in Parshas Nasei, the ish es kadashav lo yihya, right? Ish ashayita la koyin lo yihya. This is mamashri. This is chitas. Rashi. This is brought down in Rashi. The ish es kadashav lo yihya. A man's holy things belong to him. What are we talking about? This is not kachim. This is trumais. And God is saying that you own your trumais. How do you understand it? How do you own it? You have to give it to a kohen. That means that you are allowed to sell it. To whom can you sell it? To a yid, to a Yisrael. Look inside the Mara folder. Now we're going into the first line under the Gemara of the Shirim. It's free. That Lama Nemar. Fish Uaimer call Trumas Hakochim Asha Yidimu B'nei Yisrael. Shemei Ali Yitlam Israya. In other words, if a kohen can have the attitude, I have your trumas, I'll take it from you. So Torah says no, that the owner has the right whom to give it to the point that all of the Torah's hana belongs to him. So if he can monetize it by getting money from a Yisrael, it's mutter. Now, Rabbi Yochanan who holds that you're not allowed to get money to determine whom to give it to. He holds that the meaning of loyia just means yitman l'chol mishayir. So the reason why a kohen cannot grab my trumais is because God gave me the right whom to give it to, but I can never monetize it. I can never take money for it. So that's clear. No, there's two topics here. Okay, I have better clarity. Topic number, just a lot of nuance. One topic is, can I, the Yisrael, can I get money to give it to a certain kohen? That's a machlokes. It could be it's mutter according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina. But even according to Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, what can I not do? still there's something I cannot do. And what is that? I cannot.
Can't exchange work
I can't.
in order to give it to someone.
No. I can't use my work. Why not?
You can't tell him that you can only hire me. I'll only come to work if you give up your truma. And give it to
Why not?
Give it to a specific person.
But he holds. But Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Hanina holds that you are allowed to do that. Okay.
No, you can't lower the split on your work. You could say, I'll come to work, but you can't say instead of 70-30, I'll accept 80-20. That's the way I understand it.
No. And the Gemara is saying that Rabbi Yossi holds like Rabbi Yochanan.